Good evening. Good evening, children. Next, we have to see about female reproductive system. Okay, the female reproductive system is located in the pelvic region of female body. It includes a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviduct, uterus, cervix, vagina, and the external genitalia. You see this diagram. This is ovary. Then this is the oviduct, and this one is the uterus, and then this is the cervix, this one is the vagina, and then this is the external genitalia. So this is the female reproductive structure. You see here, this is the clear sectional view. You can see this is the ovary, and this is the uterine tube or the fallopian tube. This is the uterus, and this one is the cervix portion, and then this is the vagina. Then now you want to see each and every part of the female reproductive system. So the main is the ovaries. Ovaries is the primary reproductive organs. So ovaries are the primary reproductive organs that produce the female gametes, that is called as the ovum. It is acting as the endocrine part also, like that of the male reproductive organ. This female organs, that's the ovaries, is also acting as the endocrine glands and secreting two female sex hormone, that is called as the estrogen and the progesterone. So the ovaries are located in the lower abdomen. It is located in the lower abdomen. This is the abdominal cavity, the yellow color is the abdominal cavity. So it is located in the lower abdomen. Each ovary is about 2 to 4 centimeters in length. These are connected to the pelvic wall. It is, you see here, this ovary is connected to the pelvic wall. This is the pelvic portion, pelvic wall one side, and in another it is connected with the uterus by ligaments. So both sides it is connected, and then each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium, that is called as the ovarian stroma. If this is called as the ovarian stroma. So you see the internal structure of the ovary. This is the internal structure of ovary. So this is called as the ovarian stroma, and it is divided into two parts. Outer region is called as the cortex, and inner region, this region, is called as the medulla. This medulla portion is highly supplied with the blood vessels and the nervous connection. Outer cortex portion is surrounded by the follicular cells, that is the developing follicular cells. You see here, this is the mainly the ovaries are having three kinds of follicle cells. That's the primary follicles, secondary follicles, and the tertiary follicles. So this is the primary. After that it reaches secondary and then tertiary. Then after that only it is called as the in the tertiary follicle it is having the it is known as the oocyte. In the oocyte only the ovum is present inside it. This is the developing ovum. After fully matured stage, this ovum is released. This process will take place in the menstrual cycle. That I will explain when I am explaining menstrual cycle. Now you see the structure. If you take the structure of the ovary, it is covered by thin epithelium, that is called as the ovarian stroma. Ovarian stroma is having two regions. One is called as the peripheral cortex and the inner medulla. Peripheral cortex is having number of follicle cells, that's the cortex follicles. That only I told primary and secondary follicles. And in medulla, blood vessels and the ovarian ligaments and the nervous connection, everything is present in the medullary region. This is the structure of ovary. And then you have to see about this TS of ovary, developing follicles of different stages. That's the primary follicle develops into Graafian follicle with mature ovum. When mature ovum reaches its full maturity at the day of 14th of menstrual cycle, it ruptures and comes out. This is ruptures and comes out. The emptied Graafian follicle cell. This is the fully matured Graafian follicle having ovum inside it. After that, after the release of this ovum, this is called as the corpus luteum. The emptied Graafian follicle cell is called as the corpus luteum. It is also acting as one of the endocrine gland and secreting a hormone, that is called as the progesterone. So then afterwards it degenerated into that is corpus luteum is degenerated and it forms another one structure that is called as the corpus albicans. This is the changes of the Graafian follicle cells inside the ovary. Then next one is that process is called as the ovulation. After release, follicle filled with blood clot, and that it is acting as the corpus luteum, one temporary endocrine gland secreting a progesterone hormone. Next, we go to see about the accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. One is called as the oviduct, and another one uterus, and another one is the vagina. Oviduct or the fallopian tube. It is 10 to 12 centimeter in length. This is fallopian tube. Up to this, from this to this one, fallopian tube or uterine tube or oviduct, all are similar. So 10 to 12 centimeter length. It extends from the periphery of the ovary. This is the ovary, from the periphery of the ovary, and it joins with the uterus in another side. This part, if you take the parts of the oviduct or the fallopian tube, first part is called as the infundibulum, second part is called as the ambula, the last part is called as the isthmus. This infundibulum at its anterior end, it is having finger-like projections. These projections are called as the fimbriae. What is the use of these fimbriae? Means the ovum is released, that is the ovulation. At 14th day of menstrual cycle, ovum is released. This ovum is captured by these fimbriae of the infundibulum. After that, this ovum moves towards this fallopian tube, and it enters the uterus. After the fertilization in the this fallopian tube, it reaches the uterus. Otherwise, also, if fertilization is not taking place, that time also it reaches the uterus, and then it is degenerated and passes out from the body in the next menstrual cycle. So here this is called as the fimbriae. Fimbriae, the anterior part of the infundibulum, function is to capture the released ovum by the process of ovulation. Wider part of the oviduct is called as the ambula, and then it is having narrow part. This narrow part is called as the isthmus, and this isthmus joins with the uterus. These are all the accessory ducts. One is called as the oviduct. Now you are seeing about the oviduct structure. Next you go to see about the uterus. Uterus or womb, that both are same. Single uterus is present in the lower abdominal region. It is a hollow, inverted, pear-shaped, pear-shaped attached to pelvic wall by ligaments. This is uterus, pear-shaped attached to the pelvic ligaments. And it is made up of 3 layers. One is called as the endometrium, inner layer. Middle layer is called as the myometrium. Outer layer is called as the perimetrium. This is the uterus. It is a hollow structure, pear-shaped structure, made up of or surrounded by 3 layers. Outer endometrium, middle myometrium, outer perimetrium, middle myometrium, inner endometrium. This endometrium is very important because it changes according to the changes in the menstrual cycle, and it is preparing the uterus to receive the developing embryo, and also it is helpful for the development of the embryo, so that only it is very important, this endometrium. So perimetrium, external thin membranous, myometrium, middle thick layer of smooth muscle, strong contraction during delivery, that is the role of the myometrium. Endometrium, inner glandular layer, lines uterine cavity, cyclical changes during menstrual cycle. So the next one, the inside the uterus, the fertilized ovum grows and develops into the embryo. Then it opens into the vagina through a narrow cavity that is called as the cervix. The cervical canal along with the vagina is acting as a birth canal. So that is called as the birth canal. The next, external genitalia, third part of the female reproductive system, that is the mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen and clitoris. This is the structures lying in this. The hymen is opening just inside the opening of the vagina, often torn during the first coitus. The presence or absence of the hymen is not reliable indicator of the virginity. So this is the external genitalia of the female reproductive system. Along with that, you have to see about the mammary glands. So the mammary glands are the paired glandular tissue. It is present both in the male and the female, but in the female it is developed in a well manner to nourish the offsprings. That is the role of these mammary glands. So that is them. Then this mammary gland I will explain in the next video.